Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Speaking the Truth About Money with Martin Cowart and Joy the Wise Woman. I am both Martin Cowart and Joy the Wise Woman. Martin is my human name, and Joy the Wise Woman is my spiritual name. I'm a spiritual mindset coach, so I think Martin wants to get out of this way as much as he can so that Joy the Wise Woman can guide and lead us in this day's conversation in this podcast. And I'm so excited today to meet someone I've just recently met. I've known Andi Wich's father, Bill Wich, for quite a number of years in the Mankind Project, and I've done some work with him in the prisons. And his father created this amazing program called the Omega Point Program that is a way, what I'm discovering is a way to unlock our hearts to this infinite potential within ourselves. It is an amazing program. It is free. It is a simple, daily, self-directed program that anyone can go to the internet and download and do. And what Andi does is he's taken on the mantle of taking this amazing program and turning it into a coaching program, an opportunity to use this program as a guide to help and lead and mentor people into their heart space. So, and what we're doing, which just wonderfully aligns with what we're doing here at Financial Heart Space, is we're trying to connect the world through the heart, through relationship. And we're actually using that program now to do a 5-day relationship building between people from the LGBTQ people living in Africa with LGBTQ plus people like Andi, who is an ally over here, to create these loving, meaningful, supporting relationships. And Andi just joined us in that this past week. I think he had his first meeting last night with a young man named Elvis, who's a gay man living in the Kankama refugee camp, and his wife's participating in the program as well, with a woman, a lesbian, also living in the camp. And so you might, if you want to talk about your first night with that. But he was asking me, well, can I get some clarity about the intention? The intention is simply what it is: to build relationship, to build support, to build love, to create connection at the heart. And that's how we're building this community. So just to give you a little context, I want to invite Andi to come in and tell us this little story about how he got here. You know, it's always, to me, interesting to know, like, who we were before we realized really how powerful we are. I know that before I realized that I became a spiritual teacher and a coach, I thought I was Martin Cowart. I didn't know that I had this powerful force within me called Joy the Wise Woman until I discovered her. So I'd like to hear Andi tell about his story about how he discovered this deeper, powerful truth within himself of love, and then go from there and talk about how he's using the OPP and how you could use the OPP program to love yourself more and love others. Andi, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about
it. I'd love to share. It's interesting. As I'm listening to this, I'm thinking about, I saw a post today, and the post, and it's a spiritual man. What's up, Baba? And it's a spiritual man. He said his mind is like 14 browsers open with music coming in where he didn't know where that was, and all these things, and 4 of the pages are frozen. And to me, that's very much like how I was before. My mind was always racing. I was always anxious, always overthinking. It would take me 1 to 2 hours at night to go to bed, where I was reflecting on my day, what I could have done better, how I could be better as a person. But it was really very critical, very judgmental of myself. I was living in Palm Desert. I was away from my children, and I was in a relationship where I constantly chose to diminish who I was, because I wanted to make sure that she loved me. And I one of the things she would say is like, hey, we're going to go somewhere, be you, but just 10% less. Right. And I didn't want to be rejected. I had these things going on, so that I would coalesce to that. So I was a general manager for World Gym, up late at night, worried, out of alignment with where I wanted to be and who I was, but I didn't even know it at the time. And then one night I was laying there and I was having a panic attack because it was going so hard. And it was one of those nights where I thought it was just for me, it was, if this is it, this is it. This life that I have created, the life that I was in, was so toxic for myself, for my soul, for my heart. And I turned over my phone and I said, if this is the way it's going to be, it's going to be. And next thing I know, my eyes open and there was an entity here in my room. Came over. It felt female in nature, kissed me on the head, and then I fell fast asleep. The next day, I woke up and it was a different world. It was a different idea. It's like I let something in me, I let an old version of me, or the old thought of me, die. And then I started the Omega Point program, and I was a mentee, and I went through the program with my mentor, Kevin. One of the most beautiful things, just a snapshot, is going through the Omega Point program. You're dealing with the subconscious and the parts that are within you. You're learning to listen. I learned to listen to myself. I learned to listen to these voices that were always in my head. And through time and through care and through love and respect of the parts within me, there's no more voices. There's no more browser pages that are frozen. It is simply my desktop with this beautiful view of whatever I want it to be. It has quieted the mind. It has allowed me to come from my heart space, as you talk about, and flow through my day versus anxiety, questions. What do I do? Where is this? It's more I'm walking through and all of a sudden I hear something that says, hey, why don't we go get a coffee? Okay, I'm going to go get a coffee. And I just walk over and get the coffee. Next thing I know, I have a connection. Dad sends me an email, says, Martin wants to talk to you guys about this. Sounds good. Next thing I know, talking to you, connecting to people on the other side of the planet, helping another person hear themselves with love and respect in the parts inside. To me, that is I am living a life worth living versus a life that I thought I had to do. Hello, Kyla.
Kyla she just started the OPP program with a woman named Ruth today.
Oh, that's awesome. That is so awesome. I'm so excited for your journey. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it gave me chills.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's just so exciting. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yes.
It's so exciting. You know, and I love the story. I want to just to kind of sum it up what I'm hearing and see. It's a similar to mine, is that I think we go through life with a very confused mind. That's always, and make the analogy, the confused mind believes it's a caterpillar and all it's going to do the rest of its life is just crawl across this leaf and eat leaf and try to get to the other side and try to figure out what it's here for, and doesn't know, and it's just confusing. And our mind is constantly trying to figure out who we are, what we're here to do, why we're doing it, and attacking us. And that's exhausting.
Yes.
And what you did is and it's a very similar story to mine. It sounds like, okay, you said, I'm surrendering. I've given it all I got. I don't know what else to do, God. I am surrendering this to God.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, you lay back, and this entity, I am sure it was a spirit of love. Hey, Martin Sunday, good to see you here, brother. I'm sure I know that spirit of love very well. I call her Joy the Wise Woman. That spirit of love came over and kissed you on your head and said, Andy, we got you are valuable. You are precious. You are loved. And I want you to know that. And you don't have to do anything for the rest of your life, but just show up as you. and you can make a difference.
I want to riff off of what you just said, because I love what you just said. That if you think about what it took for me to be born, right? There's a one in something like it's a 14 million chance to be conceived, number one, and then for those two people to come together. And then if you think about the generations of all those people that had to come together, conceive your mom and dad and grandparents all to come to you. Number one, that's a miracle within itself. Number two, there's no one that's ever done what I've done in my life. It's been similar. And there's connections, but it's not there where it's 100%. Meaning I am, as you are, uniquely on this world with the gifts. And there's one quote that says, I'm going to butcher the quote, but you are unique, and if you don't do what you came here to do, no one else can. So in finding the beauty and the empowerment and the gifts that you are specifically for this planet at this time is so important for all of us and so powerful.
Absolutely. And I believe, and I've been through, I call that my dark night of the soul. When I was, I had something very similar that happened to me that came in the middle of the night and said, Martin, none of the stuff that you worry about it's like a blanket of love filled me up and said, all the stuff that you worry about, none of it matters. The only thing that matters is show up with love and gratitude, and I, the divine, will guide you through the rest, take care of the rest. I'm doing it all anyway. All that conflict, all that turmoil is us, our minds fighting with the universe, and we're never going to win.
Well, it's our trauma and it's our behaviors we've created over time telling us how we're supposed to do. And it's so important to go and look at those things, heal it, align ourselves with our mission, and in that, love who we are. Love who you are. Everything that you are, love it. Even those parts, even the critical ones.
That's the ones.
There's a reason they're there.
That's the most important. You talk about the inner work. That is it's easy to love the parts of ourselves that we like, the parts of us that are friendly, but it's really hard to like the parts of ourselves that what we call our shadow behaviors that come out of us protecting ourselves. Right. And those are things like when we lie, when we manipulate, when we don't tell the truth, because we're too afraid. All those things that we all do in some form or another. But when we see, and we can easily point them out to other people and don't like them because they do. But if we can slow down long enough to say, wait a minute, let's see if we can find the gold inside that shadow. Let's see if we can mine, because behind that, what I keep finding is this: when I'm in that place of struggle and I'm not good enough, and I'm not going to have enough money, and I'm not all that's taking over, and I find myself, and I still do. I still find myself in the darkness, in the drama. I have to let go and surrender. And I said, well, what's true? Well, the truth is, behind all that is a beautiful man that cares and loves. And that breaks me out of that mindset of not enough and struggle and not good enough. And because it's not true. The truth is, you, me, every human being, like you just said, uniquely on the planet, is here. You divinely created. Everything is divinely orchestrated, including you and your mission in this moment. And when we realize that and surrender to it, our lives become wildly exciting. All I gotta say.
They do, and I want to go back to what you're talking about, because Omega Point program, of course, like you have in there, that's what I use. We use the echo process and positive intent. And those are two things that we use to hear those voices. Because one thing that usually, what I mean by positive intent, is you even have that critical voice. I used to have a voice that was, that really wanted me to be more quiet. It didn't want me to express myself fully because it wanted me to be small. And then I kept talking to it. Okay, so what happens if I'm small? Well, then you get to fit in with the crowd. And then you're safe. So you want me to be safe? Yes, I want you to be safe. I want you to be okay. Okay. Well, that doesn't align with my mission. And then it changed from being safe because it loved me and wanted to protect me. It changed from this, like, it looked like a little mouse, and then it turned into this huge freaking gorilla. And it said, I am strong, I am powerful, I am safe within myself, I love myself and accept myself. Therefore, my voice can be loud. I no longer have to hide. I am comfortable being safe in myself and loud.
Yes, we become the servant of that voice of authority of God. That's what happens. God is not something we learned about in Bible school. It's out there making judgments. That's just a bunch of nonsense. God is the creative life force of the universe that lives right within us. We're made out of that same DNA.
Within us. Yes, 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 within us.
And when we come to that realization that we're fully human and fully spiritual, and the spiritual part is the one, it's the life force driving the whole bus. The fully human part is only going to be here for maybe 100 years or a little bit more.
Right.
That internal part we're talking about, that spiritual part, the spirit of love that's creating everything in the universe, is here and always will be here.
Yes. And is infinite.
It's
infinite. Which means you are infinite. We are infinite inside. Yeah. And the surrender allows those gifts infinitely to come in beyond what we could comprehend. Because in this human existence, it's a different kind of comprehension. To surrender and allow, it lets life flourish, be abundant, come in infinitely. Yes.
It lets life flourish. And we get to experience it in this human lifetime.
Correct. Now.
Right now. In this moment.
Right now.
Yeah, and I want to just tell you how, I'm going to give you an example of how OPP has brought us here. I went to Nairobi against everything in my rational mind to meet Abba Henry, who was at the time, he's a gay Ugandan man living in a refugee camp with no money, nothing. He was nothing like what my mind was saying I needed as an ideal client to pay my bills and pay my exorbitant coaching fee, which is $2,700 a month. In my mind saying, why are you going to go to even my husband? Why are you going up in the road? They don't have any money. My heart said, because they're the one that need me. They're the ones that are calling me. So I said no to my rational mind and said yes to my heart. And I began to say, and I learned, wow. And then I met Abba. And the very first night we met there, he and I read, for some reason, I gave him the last paragraph in the first chapter of Eckhart Tolle's book, A New Earth. And he said, it was all about the flowering of human consciousness. He said, when was this written? I said, it was written 2006. He said, this is happening right now. I just got chills when I said that. I knew my soul was home. I went to teach him, and he was teaching me.
Yes.
And and that's what you're going to find, I think, is in as you meet our LGBTQ brothers and sisters, is this enormous heart they have inside of themselves, because they have had to live in so many horrible external circumstances that, like diamonds, they have become brilliant, resilient, powerful. And now that they're being let out of the cage, they are going to lead the world into a new level of consciousness that we're all part of. They're going to lead this world. And our objective is to turn Africa completely upside down, to become the most loving and welcoming place in the continent, in the world, for everybody, most especially for our people. So that's what we're doing, dear. And I'm so glad you're part of that journey. And I'd love to give you a little bit of chance to sort of explain. And during that time I was in Nairobi, I went through the OPP program with Abba, and I got to know him. So I'd like to give you some chance to just reflect on that, talk about that a little bit, about how my experience of it is and what you're doing, and how it might make an impact in the world and what you're doing.
So after I went through the Omega Point program, I understood the purpose of my life was to bring it to it. in honor of my father and of my mother. I agree with that, Jeff. So what I'm doing is I'm traveling the country. You can see I'm in an RV. This is our Winnie, and I'm with my wife, and we travel. And right now we're in New Mexico to bring OPP to people. Currently, I have 5 mentees right now. Now with Elvis, that's going to be 6 that I'm doing concurrently. And the point is to help people go through the program, hear themselves, pay it forward to another. The more and more that we hear ourselves, we heal ourselves, especially because now the consciousness is open and people are waking up. There's not a lot of guide to how to help and hear yourself, right? There's different, there's tarot, there's people going to readers, there's programs, but there's not a lot of things to go inwards and truly hear yourself and unlock that potential of yourself. And that's the whole point. So we're on our first stop. It's been magic how it's even gotten to here. And it's just continuing forward. What I want to do is, as we grow this, create a community. And this community will be something where people can come to. And what you come to go through a 40-day program. We're going to buy some land, have a place where people can come. It's free for them to come. And then it's like, okay, day 2, do you want to go down by the lake? Yeah, let's do that. Okay, perfect. We go down by the lake, we do a session. We come back, there will be woodworking. There's going to be metalworking, where we continue to build it together, co-create something absolutely gorgeous, and keep learning from each other and experiencing it. After they're done with the program, they can go back out into the world, do whatever they want, or they can stay and help mentor another person coming in. But the purpose is to create communities where people understand their purpose, are co-creating together a purpose-driven world like what you're talking about. And you're the explosion of the heart and of the purpose to be welcoming and loving and safe is exactly the vision in state by state and then country by country, so we can make this world a purpose-driven world and reach a pinnacle point, the omega point, beyond anything that we could ever expect.
Well, I love the way I love the way, and I love the idea. I can say that for me, and I love purpose-driven, because before I had this awakening myself, I didn't really know what my purpose was. Right. I didn't have that North Star. I had a personal mission statement that I developed in the Mankind Project, but I wasn't really, it was there, but I wasn't living it in the present.
Yes.
And that's one thing we were talking about before, is that when we begin to make that North Star the present, because this is the only time there is, and I changed the language from being I'm co-creating a world, I am creating a world of abundance and prosperity by showing up in love and gratitude, which is my North Star. It just brings me right into this moment. Says, no, not tomorrow, right now. And truly, right now, you and I are creating this world of abundance and prosperity by showing up with love and gratitude.
Yes.
And why don't you share with the world, again, just articulate that soul's purpose, that North Star that you have, and bring that into the moment with us, if you would.
So my mission has changed, and what it is now is simply I am the lighthouse.
Why?
Whatever that means for whoever meets me means that. It's a light in the dark. It's a light to shine in the storm, in the calm. I'm there, steady. My purpose is unleashing a person's potential from their inside by simply guiding them and helping them to their own answers. I don't have your answers. I never will. Wow. Because that's the infinite is within each person. And my purpose is to help them see that potential and see how incredibly beautiful they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
I would just add one little thing to that. I get a
please.
vision of what you're creating. What I'm hearing is I am creating a purpose-driven world by
Mhm.
being a lighthouse for others.
Yes.
That's it.
That is a way that you could put that. Absolutely.
I am creating a purpose-driven world by being a lighthouse
Yes.
of love. You want to add that to it, you could. But that's what you're doing. I've only known you for a few days, but I can tell you that's what you're doing, dude. You are creating a purpose-driven world, and you are definitely a lighthouse.
And what's beautiful is I am a lighthouse. And what happened right there is it resonated with you in that way.
Right.
And I got to receive a beautiful blessing from you from that. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, wow, we're almost getting towards. So, I want to give you a chance to talk about how people can get in touch with you and who would be interested in learning more about the OPP program and the programs that you got. Because I can tell you something, what he's teaching out there is changing the world. And we're bringing him into the financial heart space community so excitedly to help us bring this program into our community so that we can do what he's doing. And what we learn is that there's infinite communities, infinite possibilities. It's not, and his community is our community, and our community is his community. So it's not like there is no. It's just we're all doing it. So I'd like you to share with the world a little bit of how people can get in touch with you, because we only got a few more minutes, and find you. I know that you're on social media. Tell people how they can find you and how the best way for them to reach out
Absolutely.
to you to be part of your program.
So the first thing, because this is bigger than me, is the omegapointprogram.com. The omegapointprogram.com, you can go there, you can register to be a mentee, to go through the different phases, phase 0, phase 1, or phase 2. That's where I would recommend everyone starts, is the Omega Point program. You will see in my father's words, his vision, and what it is that I'm bringing to this world. Now, I am on, my website is WICH, W-I-C-H .world, W-O-R-L-D. And then my TikTok handle is the_risen_sun, S-U-N. And you can find me there as well. Is there a way that I can write these on here?
I don't know, but I'll tell you this. I don't know the answer to that question. Comment. Let me see. Maybe Abba can help with it. I don't know how to do that. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. You know what I can do also is I can email those to you, and so when this is up, that they can have those links on. Underneath it.
One thing is, we will be when the replays run, we'll be glad to edit the show notes and put that in there. And there is information in the show notes for that. And when we do, and this, as you know, gets repurposed into a video from our YouTube channel, and it also gets repurposed into our audio podcast called Speaking About Money with Mark Cowart. And we'll put all that. We'll make sure we put all that inside the show notes so people can get in touch with you that way. So
I'll send that over to you. But
I appreciate you being humble, and I agree. A great place to start is the Omega Pope program to get familiar with it. But if you want to really get some help from someone who call Andy, get in touch with him. I don't think his programs. I don't know exactly what he charges for his program, but I imagine he's got programs to go from free to maybe even more expensive than that. But I'm sure he's got something there for you. If he has a conversation with you, I would send him a direct message, get on a Zoom call with him, same way I did, and get to know each other. And I guarantee you, he's got a program that's going to fit you and fit your budget. It's going to help you unlock that gate to your infinite potential.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I will either match you up with a mentor, or you can go with me. I do $50 a session.
Wow. That's certainly worth it. That is certainly worth it. And thank you for that. And hold on one second. Let me just give a little shout out to some things we got going on over here at Financial Heart Space that people might want to pay attention to. One, if you'd like to become part of our community, we have a Facebook group called Financial Heart Space for LGBTQ plus meaning our allies, to LGBTQ plus business leaders and change agents. Please join us in that community to love and support each other and create this world of a difference. And that's free, and just join us. We do all kinds of coaching things over there, and you can learn all about OPP there. You can learn about me. You can connect with Andy. It's a community. It's a private community for people like us, people who want to make a difference in the world, and do it through loving and supporting relationships. That's one thing you can do. I'd love to have you over there. The other thing that we just started doing, which was, we did it for the first time yesterday, and it was really successful. I appreciate it. Probably the most successful live event I've done is we've done these LGBTQ. We've hosted the LGBT community, global community is hosting weekly live business exchange networking events for people to come online and share and tell who they are, tell what they do, who they are, and what they're doing to make a difference in the world. We're giving people a real platform to build their brand and talk about their products. Now, let me tell you something. We're even doing some coaching in there in helping you to be a good presenter. Because what people don't often realize, what successful selling is people don't buy our products and services. People buy the results of our products and services. So we're doing some coaching in that arena to help you be able to articulate who you are, what you do, and the results that you get people, the results of what you would get if you were to go into Andy's OPP program. He's going to talk to you about the results you get, about being enlightened and being free and living in this place of unconditional love energy. That's the result of the program. And that's the thing we're doing. And we're doing that inside every Thursday at 4 o'clock. So you're going to start, if you're out there listening, you'll see that. You'll find me. It's always being posted in our Financial Heart Space Facebook group. So if you haven't joined that, please join us there and get to know me and Andy and others in that community. And definitely reach out to Andy and get to know him. He's a beautiful man. I'm so glad he's in my life now, and he's helping and supporting Financial Heart Space, our community, to build this global community out of love. So Andy, thank you so much for being part of our show today. Your love and your heart and your wisdom is just so important as we move this world into a higher level of consciousness of love. So thank you.
Well, you're welcome. And Martin, thank you for setting this space and what you are doing. I see you and I honor you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for saying that. May love and prosperity prevail.